Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 26 with Stephanie, who is an IFBB pro physique competitor. And
Guys,
I'm so happy to have you on because,
thank you so much, Paige. You're such a sweetheart.
no, I've been following you for like over 2 years. I remember when you were prepping for the Arnold, was that like 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
And then you found out it was like you have to get invited or whatever. And
So it used to be like if you have placed top 10 in a pro show, then you're qualified for the Arnold for the next year.
Mhm.
So I was within that, and so I started prepping, and then I found out like only a couple weeks into my prep that they changed the rules for that year, and it was you had to place top 5 at a previous show in the previous year. So I was like, well, shit, I got 7th. That means I'm not qualified.
That sucks because
So
I remember,
stuff happened.
yeah, and you were like prepping for a while, and then you were like, well, I'm gonna do a show because I think that was when you might have decided in what you did the Atlantic Coast in 2019.
Yeah, I just basically found shows in the summer and did 2 shows that summer. Apparently I really like that 6th and 7th place spot because that's where I've been my only 3 pro shows, but I'm over that. I'm over those placings.
You're like, no, I gotta go harder now. You're like, I'm ready for this.
I'm like, there's no more. If I don't like know that I'm gonna win, I'm not getting on that stage. Period. Like I want to have like so much confidence next time that I like don't even have to look at myself in the mirror. Like you know how when you're in prep you start to you get obsessed and you're like constantly in your head and like looking in the mirror and like one day you think you look great and the next day you look like watery and soft, and I'm not doing any of that. Like I'm just not gonna look.
Yeah,
Don't look.
just cover up.
It's just added it's like added stress that I'm putting on myself by looking every day when your body changes every day anyway. What does it matter what you look like until it's time to step on stage, really, you know?
For sure. And plus, now that you're a pro, you're just a seasoned, you're like, listen, I've already had those times and I've learned from it.
Yeah, it's like the only way to continue to evolve and get better is to look back at the process, at how you prepped and ways that you could go about things differently. And for me, I think that if I just have this confidence about me, like during the whole prep, knowing that I'm doing everything that I should be doing instead of worrying about what I look like or worrying about, who else is doing the show or if they look better than me this far out or not. I just think if I take all of that extra off the table, it's only going to help better my physique next time.
For sure. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning then, because I'm on the NPC website and it says that you competed first 2012. Now, is that accurate?
Yeah, so I did 3 shows in 2012. I was in figure back then, and I was completely natural. I had no clue what I was doing, but I did pretty decent my first year. I never should have went to a national stage, but I'm glad I did because I got to see what that was like, and I don't know, it kind of it intrigued me to the fact that like I knew I shouldn't have been there, but it was a whole new like world for me too.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just going big. See where you place and make your accurate, decisions in the gym after that.
I mean, 8 weeks prior to me doing a show, I had no idea that the bodybuilding world even existed back in 2012. So I was so completely novice and everything. I was just like a deer in headlights, like, what is this? Like, I have no idea. But I mean, in a sense,
Well, we're breaking up a bit, Stephanie. I think you're at that point in the highway.
Yeah, this is.
Oh, there it is.
I'm getting through it.
You're fine. We were prepared for
Sorry,
this. We were prepared.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, you came in, and do you remember what your feedback was at the junior nationals?
I didn't even stay to get feedback. Like I said, at the time, I didn't even know that was a thing, like talking to the judges, emailing them. But I do remember an expediter coming up to me and he was like, you have amazing shape. You obviously have really like gifted genetics. He was like, but you can tell that you're natural and you should take this, this, and this. And I was like, I don't even know what any of that is. Like, I was so naive and novice to the sport in 2012.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's so interesting because back then, do you feel like that was like more talked about openly with females?
I don't think it was, but I still don't think it's talked about openly. So there's just such a stigma about it, and I understand why. But the fact that we're all doing it, I don't understand why we're not talking about it. Like, how is me talking about it going to get me in any sort of trouble, really? When I'm just trying to raise awareness and talk about, you know, my personal experiences, clients' experiences, other people, like, knowledge is power. So why are we not talking about this to gain more knowledge on the subject?
Yeah, and to be honest, you've always inspired me to do the same. Like I'm always open about it because, you know, I listen to tons of podcasts and, you know, like guys talk about gear and like it's just like nobody's business, but as soon as
Right.
a girl does, it's like, whoa, like that's not like ladylike or something, you know, and it really bothers me.
It bothers me too, in the sense that I think it gives a false narrative that we are just showing up and looking like this. And then you have all of these people who look up to me or look up to you or are new to the sport, and they think that it's attainable and achievable to get to the levels that we're at. And they have no idea, you know, this kind of like back door that we have open. They have no idea. They've never been exposed to it. And then you start like talking to people and you're like, well, you know, they're not natural, right? And they're like, what does that mean? Exactly what I said when I first started out. I had no idea. And I will talk to anyone about it anytime. I'm super transparent in that. And I wish I had someone back then that I could go to and pick their brains about it, you know?
Right. Me too. And I agree. That's why like watching your live videos and when people would ask and you'd be open and I'm like, well, I'm glad that she's doing it because it gives me power to do it too. Because, you know, it's like, it's not that I'm super knowledgeable, but we can like share our experiences and that should be enough to at least help somebody out so that they don't do too much or like don't hurt themselves.
I think just in that, like, we're in a sport where it is allowed and it's not really frowned upon, then we should all be open to talking about it, you know, especially because we're all doing it. So it's not like a big secret, you know. Now it'd be different if we were like in the, you know, I don't know, NBA or something, and they were drug testing us and we're all doing it and trying to like hide it, but we're not. So like, why are we hiding that we're doing it?
Right.
Especially if my experience can help someone else, then I'm all for it.
Right. And once you're at the pro level, like, I mean, I've heard it all. When you're a pro, like it doesn't matter what division you're in. There's girls taking it in any division in the pro league.
Oh, dude, there's nothing that shocks me anymore in this industry. Like nothing. Like, oh, you've done DNP and Tren and Halo and Test, and you stay on Test year round as a female. Okay, cool. I know 10 people that do that. Like, it's not a mystery anymore. It's not. I don't know. There's just still a stigma on it, but everyone knows it's there.
Exactly.
I would love to blow the roof off that, though.
Right. And I've seen pros that are like, they talk about it or they just like avoid it. You know, like I've seen where they're just like, yeah, people are on gear. And then they move on to the next question. I'm like, okay, so you're avoiding the conversation about you on it. And then like all these, like you said, girls will.
And that's fine. Like, it's obviously a personal choice if they don't want to talk about what they're doing, or, you know, they want to keep that private. Completely respect that and understand it. But, you know, this is the choice that I've made. Like, I'm not going to hide behind it. I'm not going to lie and say I don't take things or downplay what I do take, because I don't like that either, you know. I just try to be very open and transparent, and I might get a lot of backlash for that, but I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm not trying to be. Yeah. So, you know, if I piss off 5 people but I help one, it's still a win to me.
I agree, and I appreciate that too, because like I said, I've been following you a while, and I'm just like, this girl's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I'm not trying to be awesome. I just, like, I'm living out loud. Like, my story is not just all highlights. You know, obviously that's what we see on social media, but I'm here to just tell it like it is, as it's happening to me in my life.
And you've been able to keep such a feminine look too. So like that's even good that you can talk about these things and be like, I took things and I didn't overdo it because like you still,
I mean, obviously, like looking back at what I looked like back in 2012 and now, there's a huge difference even in just my face. But hello, that was like what, 9, 10 years ago? Like your face and your body is going to change in 9 or 10 years. Go back and look at your first, driver's license picture. You don't look anything like that anymore.
we all age. You can't escape that.
Right.
So back to doing the shows and everything. So when did you start actually taking gear then after you got that comment in 2012?
So after my first season in figure where I did 3 shows, I actually took 2.5 years off and I didn't even like step foot in a gym. I actually was in my mid-20s and I decided to, go venture out and be this party girl. And I got all that out of my system. And in 2014, I decided I wanted to try women's physique. And so I hired a coach. I started taking gear. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I just trusted that person. And that entire first prep as a women's physique competitor was probably the worst and best thing that could have ever happened to me, in that I learned probably what some people learn in like 5 to 10 years of bodybuilding. I learned all in one prep. I'm grateful for how terrible of an experience that was. Had I not had it, I probably wouldn't know a majority of what I know now regarding dieting, eating disorders, reverse dieting, rebounding, female steroid usage. Dude, that prep was so bad, Paige. My freaking top fell off on stage. It was like one of those things where like anything that could go wrong did. Mm-hmm. And then show day was just a disaster.
And that was 2 years of a break and you come back to that.
Yeah. I was literally like laughing. I was like, well, I don't know if this is a sign that I'm not supposed to be doing this or if it's a sign that like you need to like get your shit together and figure this out.
Well, obviously you continued on. So like, did you took all that knowledge that you learned that was a terrible experience and then competed again?
Oh man. Yeah, dude, that started like this fire in my like soul. Like that is where I think that my true passion for getting better and competing against myself started. Like I got second place at that women's physique show in 2014 out of 2 competitors. So I lost like bad. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't ready for the show. And it just really ignited this fire. And I was like, I will not step on stage again until I'm ready. And I took a whole year off and had a decently good off season. My first time, not really rebounding like crazy. And I just decided like, I'm going to do this now. Like no more messing around. I'm not going to get on stage, let alone a national stage if I'm not ready again. And I was tired of like hearing I had all this potential, but like potential doesn't mean shit until you actually step into it. Right. So I was just the girl with a bunch of potential. Like I was the local, figure competitor who had, could go far if she wanted to, if she got her head out of her ass. Mm-hmm. And the thing is like, I never really had to try. And so I was like, what if I actually try? Mm-hmm. Like, what if I actually give it some effort? What would happen? And so 2015, I did junior USAs. I met some awesome people along the way. That was when I really started to like get into the sport more and get into social media a little more and meet, our little IG friends and women's physique sisters and start to develop like that little bond that has grown over the years with so many wonderful women. I did that show. I think I got like 9th or 7th. I don't remember.
Yes, you got 9th.
I met Brooke Walker at that show. We're still friends. Mm-hmm. I met some awesome ladies at that show. And so again, I'm really glad that I did it. And huge learning experience for me. Great to place top 10 your first, women's physique national show. Obviously wanted better, but just wasn't my time yet.
Yes. But it looks like you took another break then, right? So after 2015.
I just basically took a whole nother year until I competed again.
Okay.
And came back and won.
Yeah. So it was like
when I get my head out of my ass and I like stop standing in my own way, I can pull some shit off.
But that's good that you realized that. You know what I mean? Like you were like, I don't let other people's comments get stuck in my head. Like, I need to work on this myself. And I think that's where some people get too caught up in social media, and they just don't have it's a hard time blocking out the noise. So it sounds like
It really is. And like, I kind of lately even have been like having all of these little talks with myself, like, the only person standing in your way is you, and the only person that can do the work is you. So like, why am I letting pressure from outside people or social media or anything stand in my way when I have control over that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, it's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, like, it's so cliche. It's like, either you want it or you don't. And if you want it, then you'll find ways to like cut out all the noise and all the stuff that is a distraction to you, and all the things that are even just so minuscule that are taking away from like you being better. Like, I set a reminder on my phone to get off Instagram because I could be doing something else, be it stretching or, you know, prepping for the next day. There's just so many little ways every day that you could try to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like what I decided this year in 2021. Like, I'm done with the excuses and, you know, being lazy and like standing in my own way. Like, I'm done with it.
Right. And I know that you've been through a lot, and you're like, no, this is going to be for me. And like, you know, you're a pro, and I'm sure you're like itching to get back, you know, and you know that potential's there. How did you feel about 2019? Like, your pro shows, like, how did you leave that year?
So obviously we've all been through a lot. We all have a story to tell. I don't really tell mine in depth as much as I probably should, but people that have followed me for a while do know, like, I've been through some shit. And 2019, obviously leanest I've ever been, best I've ever looked, didn't get the placements I wanted. But what people don't know is what really does go on behind the scenes. Like, all that matters is how we show up on that day. But what people don't know is I was in a very abusive relationship, and I was being lied to, cheated on, manipulated, verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically abused for 2 years. So for me to show up looking the way I did with all that stuff happening in my personal life every single day, I have to give myself a little bit of grace. Like, I still was able to prep through a freaking storm, like a toxic, unhealthy, terrible shit show storm that I was living every day. So I'm grateful for it now, but in the time I was hiding like a lot of my true self, and I just buried myself in prep. So I used prep as a distraction back then, you know, and I think a lot of people do that now. And that's not really a safe space mentally to be in, because you're kind of not dealing with what's actually happening, and you're throwing yourself into something else. So we're like, you know, brushing our feelings and emotions, and we're not doing that inner work because we're so focused on the outside appearance. And I just know that, like, I had to break that cycle for me. And now that I have, dude, the sky's the limit. Like, there will not be 7th places, 6th places anymore. No.
Yes. Well, I mean, and that's awesome to be a pro and still hit the top 10. Now, I'm not really sure how big the physique classes were, but like, obviously.
There was like 27 and 29 girls in my class last year. Or I guess 2019 now.
Yeah, I know.
Classes were huge. Yeah, it's still weird to say that. The classes were huge the year that I did those 2 shows. And again, it just fuels that fire, you know. I don't really ever, like, I have goals, but I think my goals are very like attainable. Like, obviously everyone's dream is step on the Olympic stage, possibly be top 5 at the Olympia. But for me, like, I try to downscale them to make them even more like achievable. And my goal was always top 5 at a pro show. Well, I still haven't got that, but I know my abilities can be so much better because I never really have given 100%. So my goal this year is to win a pro show. Like, I don't need to get top 5 or get top 3. Like, fuck that. I'm going to win. Mm-hmm. It's my time.
Yes, exactly. And plus, how did 2020 go for you? Because obviously we were all affected in some sort of way. And I know that you also do some powerlifting on the side. So how did last year really go for you?
So 2020, I was actually in prep the beginning of the year. I was like 9 weeks out from a show right when the first little like lockdown happened or whatever. And 2020 was rough on me. So I ended that toxic relationship, and stuck my head into a prep that then got canceled. And then I was isolating alone for 12 weeks, no gym, no job, no anything. I got super depressed. I gained like 35 pounds. I was like binge eating again. Super low point in my life, very suicidal. I had no purpose. That was a really dark point in my life last year. And I know a lot of people went through a lot last year and we don't talk about it like we should. What actually ended up saving my life was powerlifting. Like when the gyms opened back up, I talked to the gym owner and I was like, dude, I'm burnt out. Like I'm so tired of coming into the gym and just training like one body part a day. I need a break from bodybuilding and dieting and all that, but I still need to be competitive in something. So he was like, well, let's sign you up for powerlifting meet. Like you're strong as shit, Steph. Like to be a bodybuilder and you've never done powerlifting, you're really strong. And I was like, all right, fun, let's try it. Like I just need a new adventure, something new and exciting. And I literally fell in love with the sport within like a month, and I still love it. Like I'm still doing it. So I guess that was something really good that did come out of 2020 for me, was finding my love for training again, which has now like sparked this whole new level of motivation for me to get back on the pro stage.
I love that you made a negative into a positive like that. You know, like you said, everybody had some rough patches last year, but I love that you pretty much are like, now I fueled a fire for 2021. And I'm sure, powerlifting, I'm sure did wonders for your legs and back and everything too, right?
Oh man, that's what I'm most excited about, is that by the time I start prep in March for this year, and I will have done 2 full powerlifting cycles. And I can't wait to see what it's done to my body, because like I said, Paige, I've never really tried. Like that sounds so shitty of me to say, but in the 9-10 years I've been doing this, I've never given anything 100%. And I mean, I'm ready to. Like, I just think sometimes it takes people some time to like get their head out of their ass and mature and be like, all right, if this is really what you're doing, do it. Like, don't just talk about it, be about it. And this year I just have this like, I don't know, it's like this calmness about me too though. Like I got this, and I'm really excited to see like what the hard work I put in finally is going to show. Like in the off seasons before, in the past, I've never taken an off season seriously. I've never like followed a legitimate training program. I followed like diets in the off season, yes, but I've been pretty lax on them and lenient. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Like my physique is changing so much just in the last 5 weeks and starting a nutrition plan.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, are you still working with Shelby Starnes? I know you were. Are you going to continue?
I'm actually not with Shelby right now. Nothing against Shelby. I love Shelby. I just needed to hire a nutrition coach that could help me during my powerlifting. And I started talking to a few, and I narrowed it down, and I actually ended up hiring a coach that lives in France, and he has some amazing clients, athletes, and he really was like supportive and encouraging when it came to like my powerlifting goals right now. He wasn't like, oh, you can't do that because that's going to affect how you look on stage, or, oh, he's not trying to diet me for bodybuilding right now. He's giving me so much food so that I can crush the powerlifting goals that I have in the next 8 weeks. And I'm loving that, my decision. I don't know if I'll ever go back to Shelby, but I do love Shelby. I have nothing negative to say about Shelby. I've worked with Shelby on and off since like 2015. He's just always been like in my back pocket. So
yeah, and that's okay, because I was going to say powerlifting does require a lot of food, and it's good that you get fed, because you do have to find the right coach for you that can support any goal that you have.
Exactly. And like I always tell people, like, don't just hire anybody. Make sure that you're interviewing them, and this is your chance to like get to know what approach they would take on how to reach your goals. And I'm really glad that I didn't just hire anyone or go back to with what I know, and with what I knew was Shelby, and that's bodybuilding. And I had to remind myself I'm not bodybuilding right now. So hopefully no hard feelings anywhere, but I understand, like, obviously I'm a coach, and I understand that, clients come and go.
Oh, yeah. Since you're on that subject, like, do you want to talk a little bit about your coaching? Like, I know you're doing some prep clients and stuff, right? Whoop, losing
Yeah,
you.
so I've been a coach since 2015, I believe, actually. I'm pretty selective nowadays. I'm not going to just prep anyone. I have a nice little team, though, here locally in Indiana, and even across the country, I have clients. But yeah, I'll take online wellness clients any day, nutrition or workouts. But as far as competitors, it's serious inquiries only. I'm not gonna just coach anyone. I'm the kind of coach, like, if you give me 100%, I'm gonna give you 150, but I can't like chase you, and I'm not going to. You said you wanted to do this, so show me that you want to do this, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've seen that you coach girls and guys, because I've seen some of your male competitors and they look awesome.
Yeah, I have been very blessed in that the men that I've actually helped, they're just genetic freaks, so it makes my job a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm really blessed and fortunate that like every day I get to do what I love and it doesn't feel like work. But in a way, like, branding yourself is work. Like, the only reason that I'm able to do what I love is because I try to help other people find their way with fitness and nutrition and having a better lifestyle, you know? So it all comes full circle. Like, people are like, why do you compete? Like, why do you worry so much about your image on social media, or even, you know, why do you worry so much about what you look like? And I'm like, do you understand that, like, it's my livelihood? Like, at this point in my life, what I'm doing is either a good or bad reflection on me, and it affects my business, you know? If I'm doing well and I have clients doing well, then my business is going to do well. If I'm like sitting around being a bump on the log on the couch and I'm gaining 35 pounds in quarantine, my business is going to suck.
Right, and nowadays, like, that's
So
like a
I
good
don't know. It just pushes me to be a better person every day too.
For sure. And on
What'd you
social,
say?
oh, I was saying, like, with social media, like, that's how you really reach out to people. You know, people are on social media all the time looking for motivation and stuff. So, you know, you want to be that person that, you know, a client is like, she's motivating me and now I want to work with her.
Yeah, and like, I would say 80% of my income and clientele come from social media. So I have to remain active on there, and I have to remain positive and give people the content that they want to see. And which means I have to hold myself to a certain standard, you know?
Exactly. So I do want to quickly ask, because I do love your suits. You always have some.
Oh my goodness.
I love the cotton candy one that you had. I remember that
You
when.
did? See, my next one, oh man. So my suit sponsor is literally the most underrated suit designer that there is. She is freaking amazing. Like, I give her ideas or like color schemes, and then she just goes to town. She's done all three of my pro suits, and we already have talked about what this year is going to look like, and I'm super pumped.
Oh, yes, yes. And you rock that like nice, like white colored hair and everything too, which is sometimes rare with bodybuilding. You don't see too many like blondes or light haired girls. So I love that you can pick these fun
Yeah,
colors.
you really don't. Ever since like Autumn Swanson has kind of left women's physique, we don't have a lot of blondes, I think, really. Long blonde hair. It's like not really seen anymore, I feel like.
No, I think it scared people away with the judges. I've heard that rumor that judges are like they prefer the brunettes. So I feel like that's where
What?
some of that fear comes from. I've heard it, yeah.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
Well, it shouldn't. You're right. It's about the physique. It's not about the hair, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously heard rumors that, you know, shows have come so close that they've literally judged you based on your suit color choice, you know? But I don't think that really takes place much in women's physique anymore. I think that's more like bikini, maybe figure, but women's physique, there's ladies up there. I mean, look at Barbara. She got fourth place. She's bald.
True, right.
You know, I don't really think that's a thing anymore with women's physique. I just know that for me, style and stage presence is a huge part in what I try to display, because, you know, at the end of the day, the criteria isn't just your muscularity. There's so much more to it than that. Like, I want to bring that stage presence and that femininity and that style and like that flair. And I think that can really set you apart too. You know, I might not be the most conditioned, but how I present myself and how I look and how I pose can definitely get me a couple more points.
For sure.
Or less points, because you don't really want points in bodybuilding.
Hey, I wanted to ask too about your like routine. So like, where do you get your inspiration and everything for when you're doing your like solo routines?
So, man, I think the hardest part for me when it comes to a routine is finding a song. Once I hear that song and I know that that's it, then I just go into this zone where I'll bury myself in it, and I'll stay late at the gym for an hour and just to come up with 30 seconds to a portion of a routine. I mean, I've done routines now, guest posing, that were 3 minutes long, straight choreographed that I memorize. And it's just a passion I have. I love making art out of bodybuilding through music. And I definitely miss that aspect because I haven't obviously done a show now since 2019. And I am really itching to get some posing work and like routine work done, like bad.
Yeah, I love the pose. So I know it's just a part of the game that I enjoy.
Honestly, that's my favorite part in this sport, is for me to be up there in my element and posing. I know that the routines at finals are not judged, but I don't care. Like, I worked so hard to get up there and show it off and have fun and smile or be kind of cute or sexy or whatever I want to be. I get to be that in that 60 seconds.
Exactly. And the judges will see that. Judges, they definitely like will notice you more when you're smiling and having a good time.
Yeah, if you love being up there, that's going to display it so much. I mean, you can tell when people are nervous. You can tell when, you know, people haven't really done their homework with their posing, or they're just winging it. And that's not something like, I want it to be where I'm polished. You know, from the moment I get up there until the moment I leave. Yeah, I've done routines like last year, 2019, I challenged myself. I said, I'm going to pick out a song, but I'm not going to pose until I get on stage. So I winged it. And it was awesome. I loved that. It's like a novice person, but just freestyling routine was really cool. Like, you have to be in the moment and you have to really feel the energy in the music. And it's hard though. It's really hard.
Right. And you're without heels too. And I'm someone who's used to heels. I don't even know what it's like to step on stage with no heels. Did you adjust okay with that from figure to physique?
I had a hard time at first giving up the heels, but then as soon as I fully like embraced the new mandatories as physique, then I don't even think I ever put them on again. Like, it was one of those things where I was like, this is my home now, so you can give up the heels. But I still taught, you know, figure and bikini posing for like a while, and I still do. So every once in a while I put them on and can still rock them.
Yeah, I bet. And plus it's fun, I feel like, with the high heels. There's something about being a little bit more like sassy in heels. But like I said, I actually don't know.
And that's like so me. Like, I love fashion and I love getting dressed up and I love wearing heels and tall boots and stuff. So every once in a while I need to remind myself, like, okay, I did start in figure. Let me put these bad boys on and like spin around.
It's always
I actually think it's harder. It's harder than people give it credit for. Like, that shit's hard.
It can be, but like you said, you like fashion, and I've realized that us girls that are used to heels, it's like a cakewalk. But you do find a lot of competitors who are just like tomboys and stuff, and they're just like, I don't know how to walk in heels at all. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
And it's one of those things, like, if you don't practice it every day, then you're not going to get better at it.
Exactly, right. And you got to legit like learn to walk in the heels. It's not, you start to learn the poses, and I'm like, no, girl, you got to like do a T walk too.
I always tell my clients, like, that are novice or new to the sport and they have to wear heels for their division, I always tell them that whenever they are meal prepping, like on Sundays, put your heels on. You don't realize how many pivot turns you're doing and quarter turns you're doing and just small movements you're doing in the kitchen while you're cooking your meals for the week. You know, and there's a good hour, 2 hour practice in heels right there.
That's an awesome idea for sure.
I think it works well.
Yeah, whatever it takes. That, you know, people got to like use their time wisely, right? So that's
right.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask too about the Olympia. So like, what are your thoughts? Because I know you watched it. What's your opinions on the new physique champ and everything?
I love Sarah's physique. I think she deserved the win. Who am I to say differently? Look at her background and her history. I mean, it's amazing. She's won both of the pro shows that she's done. She got 10th at the Olympia, then second, and then first. I don't want to say that there's a new era. I don't think that she is not beatable. I think that she is beatable. I also love Shanique, and Shanique and I are friends on social media. So I have a little bit of like an inside scoop to that whole thing. And all I can say is they're both amazing. All of top 5 is amazing. And if you're not striving to look like them, then I don't really know what you're doing in the sport.
Right. That's anybody. I always say you have to keep up with the Olympia, like as a competitor. Like look at what the judges are looking at and considering the elite. Like that is like the look.
Exactly. And if you look at the top 5, they all have their own uniqueness to them. They don't look identical. Nothing about any of them even looks similar. So I think people get so like wrapped up in, Shanique's tiny little waist and big round cap shoulders. Okay, but Sarah doesn't have that. And she just won. So I think that you obviously need to work on your weaknesses, but I think that even like working on your strengths can play to your advantage even more so.
For sure. Yeah.
And people spend so much time just trying to bring up their lagging body parts, they almost, neglect what their strong suits are because they're trying to play catch up. And it's like, no, if your strong suit is your back, then you need to keep on making that your strong suit,
Don't let your foot off the gas.
Exactly. And it's really easy to do because, I mean, there's only so much work that we can do at once, right?
Right. And then for your division, when you're doing all the cardio, you want to maintain as much muscle as you can also. So is that ever a challenge for you with cardio?
I will say that I've noticed maybe once or twice where I've started to lose a little bit of muscle in prep in my lower half in my legs because I was doing so much cardio. But I just think that it depends the type of cardio that you're doing. And then obviously if you're resting enough. For me personally, I think that I was probably not training legs hard enough and taking too much T3 at the time. So I'm going to burn off muscle if all I'm doing is 2 hours a day on like a spin bike or a Stairmaster. And then I go and do like this wimpy little leg workout.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, because in prep, cardio can get the best of you. Sometimes you're just so tired.
That's the one thing that I don't know, like, that I'm ready for again. Like,
I'm ready
I was
for it all.
thinking about that. I was like, okay, what's going to be different? It's been a year and a half now. Well, 2 years since I've been in prep, I guess. I'm like, what's going to be the hardest part? I'm like, dude, getting up and like forcing yourself to do that cardio every morning and then forcing yourself to do it again later that night, like 2 days of cardio.
Yeah.
What? It's coming though.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting there too. Coach just added like 10 minutes post workout, and I'm just like, well, it's only going to go up from here. So better just.
I actually love to break it up. I will only do 30 minutes at once. So if I have 45 minutes, I'm only doing 30, and then later I'll do 15 pre or post workout. Like I don't know. I can't just grind away for 45 minutes to an hour. I feel like I'm only giving it my all for 30 anyway. Yeah. So the second half is just going through the motions. Whereas if I did it later, maybe after some more food or water or a nap, then I could actually like get use of that cardio instead of just like, meandering on the treadmill or whatever, bullshitting it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a good way to look at it too. Just like what you said, sometimes the body just only gets what it gets in a certain amount of time. And like you want to continue a good relationship with cardio. You don't want to end up hating it and then hate your life, so because cardio is a big.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like we can procrastinate it, and push it off till the end of the day, but it still has to get done. You should want to do your cardio, if that makes sense. And if it's not enjoyable for you, then I mean, obviously it's not gonna be enjoyable every single day, but if it's something that you're dreading all the time, then you need to switch it up and you need to find a different cardio for you that you do enjoy and you do like, because it is monotonous and it's a long prep. So
Definitely.
Find something you like.
How long is your prep typically?
20 weeks, I would say. This time is going to be a little different. I think we actually are only going to have a 16-week prep. That's why we're kind of starting now-ish. Because my powerlifting meet is not until March.
Okay.
We're basically using this time though to do like a slow mini cut. So I'll be in a really good place to start prep. So when I am 16 weeks out, I'll actually look 16 weeks out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to obviously like start a prep behind. I've never done a prep that's less than 20 weeks. So, well, since I've been pro, I haven't. So I'm a little nervous about that though, like starting prep at 16 weeks out, but I'm just trying to lay all the groundwork now.
Well, then that goes back to what you were saying about covering up, because with such a short prep, you don't want to get inside your head because you're like, this is a short prep and, you're going to trust your coach and listen and, just don't overthink it. Everything will work out because you're seasoned.
Well, yeah. And like I said, I've been doing the groundwork now since like June, and that I've been like really focused on, the compound movement, squats, deadlifts, bench. Like I'm really bringing up my physique in the training aspect so that my metabolism, my metabolism is the best it's ever been right now. Like any little change or revision to my meal plan and my body changes right now pretty quickly, which tells me that we're on the right track. So that makes me understand and know that like I will be starting in a great place. I wake up with like a solid 4-pack every day. I'm starting to see lines in my legs again. And I just told my coach 2 nights ago, I was like, my upper body is getting harder. And he was like, prove it. So I sent him a little video and he was like, okay, you proved it.
I love
I was
that.
like, see, I don't lie. Like I do change fast when I get my head out of my ass.
You're ready. Are you almost at your destination?
I am,
Okay.
but that's okay.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I know you got a busy night ahead of you. I hope your daughter has a good birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, I get to sit and watch her eat Italian food. Yay.
Oh, are you bringing the Tupperware and everything?
I'm not bringing the Tupperware, but I am going to do like a piece of grilled chicken on a salad and like, I don't know, maybe whatever fat-free dressing they have or something.
Hey, but that's dedication too. I'm really glad that you can do that. Like you're someone that's like, listen, I'm there for my daughter. It's her birthday. I'm going to go out to eat and be normal. And you know how to just portion or just eat something sensible.
Just make wise decisions that are within, that are goal oriented. Just because I'm going out to dinner doesn't mean I have to, eat all the breadsticks and have dessert and eat like a full on entree. No, I still have my goals in mind. I'm just not bringing my Tupperware and being that asshole either. But anywhere you go, they can pretty much accommodate. It's not that hard to say you want a piece of grilled chicken, plain, no butter, no seasoning. And it's your life. Like who cares if they look at you funny? Like whatever.
Right. And plus sometimes, as long as you're nice about it when you request those things, usually a waiter might think like, oh, she might actually tip me, or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Want to, and they don't.
And I do. I even think like that. I'm like, look, I know that I'm being like a pain in the ass by like dissecting your menu, but I promise you, like, I'll make it worth it. Like, I'm not going to just make you do all this extra work and I'm not going to compensate you for it.
Right.
But I definitely encourage like my clients and other people that even if you're in prep, like go your life. You don't need to live under a rock or not go out to eat. And if you do go out to eat and you want to bring your food, great. If you can't bring your food, like I think if you're in off season and you go out to eat, totally understandable. Like do the best you can. If you're in prep and
Whoop, I lost you. Let's see if she comes back. Might have lost her. No, you're okay. I was like, I can actually pause it so that there's not like a weird gap in there. So, okay, we're,
Oh, nice.
but yeah, I
Okay.
do want to get you to your dinner and everything. So, is
Yep,
there
she's getting in the car right now.
is there any final little comments you want to add for, anything you want to tell people to get them going for this season?
Anything I want to tell people to get them going? There's a lot I could say about that. I would just say, honestly, stay in your lane and worry about yourself.
Yeah,
And no one has your back like you do. So these are your goals, your dreams, aspirations, whatever they may be. Um, no one really cares about you like you do. So show yourself like some love and get out there and be better than you were yesterday.
exactly. Right. And if anybody wants to follow Stephanie, please follow her. Her Instagram is Fierce Fit Steph, right?
That is me.
I'll put it in the show notes. And I want to wish you good luck for this season. I'm ready to see what happens after March.
Thank you. And good luck to you too. Thank you so much, Paige.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. And yeah, you are awesome. So keep doing you.
Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good day. Bye.
Bye.